Recognize the signs, protect your heart. In the intricate dance of romantic relationships, awareness is your most potent shield. Often, we step into connections with hope and vulnerability, yearning for love that elevates and nurtures us. Yet, the path to such love is fraught with subtle signals, red flags, that, if ignored, can lead us into emotional entanglements that drain rather than sustain. Love is not just about passion or shared moments, it is fundamentally about safety, respect, and growth. The ability to discern early warning signs is not a skill reserved for the few but a vital tool for anyone seeking a healthy, fulfilling partnership. Too often, we rationalize behaviors that unsettle us, telling ourselves that everyone has flaws or that love will soften the rough edges. Ignoring red flags is not bravery, it is risk. This tendency to overlook or minimize problematic patterns can stem from fear, fear of loneliness, fear of conflict, or fear of losing what feels precious. But consider this: what if the very refusal to acknowledge these signals is what ultimately jeopardizes the relationship you hope to nurture? Recognizing red flags does not signify failure or defeat, rather, it embodies wisdom and self-respect. It allows you to protect your emotional well-being and preserve the integrity of your personal growth. Imagine for a moment that these red flags are not barriers but beacons, guiding lights that steer you toward relationships that honor your worth rather than diminish it. They are essential markers on the journey toward authentic connection, helping you differentiate between what serves your highest good and what hinders it. To embrace this perspective is to shift from reactive fear to proactive empowerment. It is to say, I will not settle for less than a love that respects and uplifts me. Drawing from psychological insights and wisdom shared by thinkers like Jordan Peterson, we understand that human relationships are complex ecosystems shaped by individual histories, personalities, and unconscious patterns. Peterson's reflections on relationship dynamics underscore the importance of clarity in recognizing behaviors that threaten relational harmony and individual dignity. These behaviors often manifest early, sometimes almost imperceptibly, but their impact compounds over time if left unaddressed. They are not mere quirks or transient moods, they are signals pointing to deeper incompatibilities or unresolved personal issues that can erode trust and safety. As you embark on this exploration, envision yourself equipped with a lens that brings into focus 10 critical red flags. These are not arbitrary or exaggerated, they are grounded in observable behaviors and emotional patterns that repeatedly signal trouble ahead. Understanding these red flags is not about creating fear or suspicion but cultivating a discerning heart and mind. It is about learning to say no before you have to say enough. Such discernment is an act of courage, for it often requires confronting uncomfortable truths about ourselves and others. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This mantra is your call to vigilance and self-care. The red flags we will examine are invitations to reflect deeply on the nature of your connection and the alignment of your values and emotional needs with those of your partner. They challenge you to consider, is this relationship a source of mutual growth and joy, or is it a terrain marked by confusion, hurt, and compromise of your inner peace? Love is not just about shared smiles and tender moments, it is about the consistent presence of respect, honesty, and emotional safety. To ignore these signals is to risk becoming entangled in cycles of disappointment and pain. The early stages of relationships often mask these difficulties with infatuation and hope, but beneath the surface lies the reality of character and compatibility. By learning to identify and honor these red flags, you empower yourself to pursue connections that resonate with your authentic self rather than those that merely fill a void or soothe temporary loneliness. This exploration is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a spiritual and emotional commitment to your own well-being. Love is a sacred journey, and every step deserves mindfulness. When you begin to see red flags as essential guides rather than threats, your approach to relationships transforms. You move from passive hopefulness to active stewardship of your heart's territory. You begin to build boundaries that honor your needs and communicate your worth clearly and confidently. The intention here is not to instill fear but to inspire clarity. Each red flag you recognize is a step toward cultivating relationships where safety and respect are non-negotiable. This is love in its highest form, a partnership that nurtures both individuals and creates a space where vulnerability is met with understanding, not exploitation. The journey requires courage, and it requires honesty, both with yourself and with those you allow into your life. Reflect for a moment. How often have you dismissed uneasy feelings, telling yourself that discomfort is just part of getting to know someone? How often have you hoped that time or love itself would change behaviors that deeply unsettle you? These questions are not meant to induce guilt but to awaken awareness. Healthy relationships start with awareness and boundaries. Ignoring red flags is not bravery, it is risk. You deserve a love that respects and uplifts you. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This is your mantra as you navigate the complex landscape of human connection. The red flags we will explore serve as a compass, guiding you away from emotional harm and toward partnerships that embody mutual respect and genuine care. This is not about perfection, no one is flawless, and every relationship faces challenges. But it is about recognizing patterns that fundamentally threaten your emotional safety and well-being. As you prepare to delve deeper into these 10 red flags, carry with you the understanding that this knowledge is a form of empowerment. It is a means to reclaim agency in your relational life. When you recognize these signs early, you gain the precious gift of choice, the choice to engage, to communicate, to set boundaries, or to walk away. This choice is the cornerstone of healthy relationships and personal growth. Love is not just about finding someone to fill your emptiness, it is about finding someone who complements your wholeness. It is about two individuals coming together in a space of mutual respect, honesty, and emotional safety. Recognizing red flags is the first step in ensuring that your love story unfolds on this foundation, rather than on the shifting sands of denial and compromise. The journey ahead invites you to cultivate emotional intelligence, to listen deeply to your inner voice, and to honor the sacredness of your heart. As you proceed, remember that every red flag you identify is a step closer to the love you deserve, a love that uplifts, supports, and respects you fully. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This is not merely advice, it is a truth that can transform your relational life and guide you toward the authentic connections you seek. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. Having embraced the importance of early awareness, you now step into the realm of specifics, those behaviors and emotional patterns that frequently serve as red flags, signaling deeper challenges beneath the surface. Love is not just about shared affection or fleeting chemistry, it is about the consistent presence of trust and accountability. When these foundations falter, the relationship risks becoming a terrain of confusion and pain. Consider manipulation, a subtle yet powerful red flag that often masquerades as concern or love. Manipulation distorts reality, bending facts and feelings to serve one person's agenda. It chips away at your autonomy and sense of self, replacing clarity with doubt. Emotional intelligence becomes your compass here, allowing you to discern when interactions feel less like genuine exchange and more like control. A person who respects you communicates openly rather than twists conversations to evade responsibility. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. Lack of accountability is another critical indicator. It is easy to forgive mistakes or overlook minor lapses, but when accountability becomes elusive, it signals a deeper unwillingness to engage honestly. Does your partner acknowledge their words and actions, especially when they cause hurt? Or do they deflect, minimize, or blame? This evasiveness is not just frustrating, it erodes the trust that forms the bedrock of connection. Ignoring red flags is not bravery, it is risk. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual responsibility, where both individuals own their part in the dynamic. Emotional volatility often presents as unpredictable mood swings or disproportionate reactions that leave you walking on eggshells. This red flag creates an unstable emotional environment, where safety is compromised, and you may find yourself constantly managing or minimizing your partner's feelings at the expense of your own. Recognizing this pattern early is crucial because sustained exposure to emotional upheaval can lead to chronic stress and self-doubt. You deserve a love that respects and uplifts you, one that encourages emotional steadiness and mutual support. These behaviors, manipulation, lack of accountability, emotional volatility, are not isolated quirks but interconnected signals that can undermine the very fabric of your relationship. Emotional intelligence is your ally to spot these patterns before they become entrenched. It requires you to listen not only to your partner's words but also to the unspoken dynamics, the tone, the energy, the consistency between promises and actions. A person who respects you aligns their behavior with their words. Inconsistency is a red flag that demands your attention. Dismissal or excusing of these red flags is a common pitfall. Often, we rationalize difficult behaviors as temporary stress responses or attribute them to past trauma. While compassion is essential, it must not become a veil that obscures the reality of harm. Ignoring or minimizing these warning signs opens the door to toxic dynamics, a slow erosion of your emotional health and self-esteem. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This is not about harsh judgment but about clear-eyed assessment. Cultivating self-awareness and assertiveness becomes your proactive defense. When you notice patterns that unsettle you, honor those feelings. They are your emotional radar signaling potential danger. Assertiveness means voicing your concerns, setting boundaries, and refusing to accept behaviors that compromise your well-being. Love is not just about giving, it is about mutual respect and care. You will find that when you assert your needs with clarity and calm, the nature of your relationship either deepens in authenticity or reveals itself as incompatible. Ask yourself, do I feel safe expressing my feelings and needs without fear of backlash or dismissal? Does my partner listen and respond with empathy, or do they shut down, deflect, or manipulate the conversation? These questions illuminate the quality of emotional exchange, the lifeblood of any meaningful connection. Communication breakdowns are often the early battleground where red flags become visible. They expose underlying issues of control, respect, and emotional maturity. Emotional manipulation, in particular, can be insidious. It may take the form of guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or passive-aggressive behaviors that confuse and destabilize. Gaslighting distorts your perception of reality, making you question your memory, feelings, and judgments. Recognizing gaslighting requires a strong sense of self and emotional intelligence, knowing your truth even when someone tries to rewrite it. You deserve a love that respects and uplifts you, one that affirms your experience rather than undermines it. Trust and respect are the cornerstones of connection, and both are fragile. When red flags emerge, they often target these foundations. A person who respects you honors your boundaries, communicates honestly, and takes responsibility for their impact. Trust is built incrementally through consistent actions that align with words. When inconsistency, manipulation, or emotional volatility appear, they signal fractures in this trust. Ignoring these fractures is not strength, it is vulnerability to further harm. Developing emotional intelligence also means recognizing when your partner's behaviors trigger your insecurities or fears. This awareness helps differentiate between your internal responses and external realities. However, it is crucial not to conflate discomfort with inevitability. Discomfort around certain behaviors is a natural protective mechanism, not a problem to be dismissed. Trust your intuition, if something feels off, it likely is. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. By cultivating this self-awareness, you empower yourself to address red flags proactively rather than reactively. It is a shift from passive endurance to active engagement. You will find that setting boundaries and expressing your needs fosters clarity and respect. Sometimes, this process reveals incompatibilities that are better acknowledged sooner rather than later. Embracing these truths is an act of self-love and protection. In this journey, remember that emotional intelligence is not about perfection but about growth and clarity. It equips you to navigate the complexities of human behavior with compassion and firmness. You deserve relationships where communication is open and honest, where trust is nurtured, and where respect is non-negotiable. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This commitment to awareness and assertiveness is your pathway to healthier, more authentic connections. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. The consequences of overlooking warning signs in relationships extend far beyond momentary discomfort. They can ripple through your emotional landscape, shaping your sense of self and your capacity for future connection. Love is not just about shared experiences, it is deeply intertwined with your self-esteem and emotional well-being. When red flags are ignored, the patterns of unhealthy relationships often repeat, leaving scars that diminish your confidence and cloud your judgment. Repeated cycles of relational turmoil are not coincidences but echoes of unresolved dynamics. When you dismiss early warning signs, you inadvertently allow harmful patterns to take root, patterns that may include boundary violations, inconsistent behaviors, and emotional unpredictability. These patterns create confusion and pain, eroding the clarity you once had about what you deserve and need. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This is not a mere caution, it is a call to reclaim your emotional sovereignty. Boundary violations are particularly damaging because they undermine your sense of safety and respect. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define your personal space, emotional, physical, and psychological. When these lines are crossed repeatedly without acknowledgement or remorse, it sends a message that your needs and limits are secondary. Over time, this diminishes your self-worth and fosters a sense of powerlessness. Love is not just about closeness, it is about honoring boundaries that protect both individuals. Inconsistent behavior, too, breeds emotional confusion. When a partner's words and actions do not align, or when affection alternates unpredictably with neglect or criticism, it destabilizes your emotional equilibrium. This inconsistency forces you into a state of hypervigilance, always guessing how the next interaction will unfold. Such uncertainty erodes trust, the essential foundation of any genuine connection. Ignoring red flags is not bravery, it is risk. You deserve relationships where consistency cultivates safety and trust. Personal responsibility plays a vital role in breaking these cycles. Recognizing red flags requires owning the courage to face uncomfortable truths about your relational experiences and patterns. It is an act of empowerment to acknowledge when a relationship is harmful, even if it challenges your hopes or desires. You will find that taking responsibility for your boundaries and choices is the first step toward emotional healing and growth. Developing resilience and clarity emerges from this conscious recognition. Resilience is not about enduring harm but about learning to navigate relational challenges with strength and wisdom. Clarity comes from understanding the patterns that no longer serve you and choosing to step away from them. This process is transformative, as it reshapes your narrative from victimhood to agency. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. Reflect on the emotional confusion that arises when boundaries are blurred and behaviors are unpredictable. This confusion often manifests as self-doubt, anxiety, or a persistent sense of unease. You might question your perceptions or blame yourself for the relationship's difficulties. Such internal turmoil is a red flag in itself, a signal that the relationship is affecting your mental and emotional health. Love is not just about giving, it is about receiving respect and emotional safety in return. Acknowledging red flags also means confronting denial. Denial is a protective mechanism that shields you from painful realities but ultimately prolongs suffering. It whispers that things will improve or that your partner's behavior is an anomaly. Yet, denial clouds judgment and delays necessary action. You deserve a love that respects and uplifts you, one that encourages you to see clearly and act decisively. Stepping away from denial requires courage and self-compassion. It involves accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. This acceptance opens the door to healing and growth, allowing you to reclaim your emotional power and set the stage for healthier relationships. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This recognition is a profound act of self-love. Consider how unresolved emotional wounds from past relationships or childhood experiences might influence your current patterns. These wounds can create attachment styles that predispose you to tolerate toxicity or seek approval in unhealthy ways. Understanding this psychological dimension adds depth to your self-awareness and informs your choices. You will find that with insight comes the ability to break free from destructive cycles. The journey toward clarity and resilience is not linear, it is a process marked by reflection, learning, and gradual transformation. It invites you to cultivate patience with yourself and to celebrate each step toward healthier relational patterns. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This mantra guides you through the complexities of emotional healing and growth. Ultimately, the psychological impact of overlooking red flags is profound. It shapes how you view yourself and your capacity for intimacy. By choosing to acknowledge these signals and act upon them, you reclaim your right to a love that nourishes and sustains you. This commitment to personal responsibility and clarity is the foundation for a future where relationships are sources of joy, safety, and mutual respect. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. As you move beyond recognition and reflection, the journey calls you to action, a deliberate cultivation of awareness and the establishment of healthy boundaries. Love is not just about surrender or compromise, it is about mutual respect, honesty, and emotional safety. Setting clear boundaries is foundational to avoiding toxic relationships and nurturing connections that honor your worth. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep others out but bridges that define how you engage with the world and protect your inner sanctuary. They communicate your needs, values, and limits with clarity and confidence. When you set boundaries, you affirm your right to be treated with respect and kindness. This act of self-respect is a powerful declaration: you will not accept behavior that diminishes your dignity or compromises your emotional well-being. Trusting your intuition becomes essential in this process. Your inner voice is an innate protective mechanism, a compass that guides you away from harm and toward growth. When discomfort arises in response to certain behaviors or dynamics, it is not a call to silence but an invitation to pay closer attention. Often, we dismiss these feelings as irrational or overly sensitive, but they are the wisdom of your deeper self. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. True connection flourishes when both individuals feel safe to express their authentic selves without fear of judgment or manipulation. This safety is not accidental, it is cultivated through mutual respect, consistent honesty, and the honoring of boundaries. Without these elements, relationships become fragile, marked by misunderstanding and emotional turmoil. Love is not just about closeness, it is about creating a space where vulnerability is met with empathy and care. Ongoing personal growth and vigilance are vital to sustaining these healthy dynamics. Awareness of red flags is not a one-time achievement but a continuous practice. Relationships evolve, and so do the challenges they present. By maintaining mindfulness and clear boundaries, you protect your heart from slipping back into harmful patterns. This vigilance is an act of empowerment, a commitment to yourself and your well-being. Consider how often discomfort or doubt has whispered warnings that went unheard. Each time you listen and respond to these inner signals, you build resilience and clarity. You develop the confidence to communicate your needs and the wisdom to discern what serves your highest good. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This practice transforms not only your relationships but your relationship with yourself. Healthy boundaries also foster mutual respect. When you clearly articulate your limits, you invite others to do the same. This mutual exchange creates a foundation where honesty and respect are natural rather than forced. It shifts the relational dynamic from one of negotiation and compromise to one of collaboration and understanding. You deserve relationships where your boundaries are honored as sacred. The journey toward healthy relationships is deeply personal and spiritual. It involves honoring the divine timing of connection, the understanding that the right relationships come when you are ready to receive them fully and authentically. You will find that when you prioritize your growth and well-being, you attract partnerships that mirror this commitment. Love is not just about finding someone who loves you, it is about finding someone who respects and uplifts you. Reflect on the power of saying no when something does not align with your values or emotional safety. This simple word is a profound tool of empowerment. It protects your heart and communicates your self-worth. Saying no is not rejection of love but an invitation to love that is genuine and respectful. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. In cultivating healthy boundaries, patience and compassion for yourself are essential. Growth is rarely linear, and setbacks may occur. Yet, each step taken with intention strengthens your capacity to create and sustain meaningful connections. You will discover that as your boundaries become clearer, your relationships deepen in authenticity and joy. Trust in your ability to navigate the complexities of love with wisdom and courage. Recognize the signs, protect your heart. This mantra is your guide as you foster relationships grounded in respect, honesty, and emotional safety. You deserve love that uplifts and honors your true self, and by cultivating awareness and boundaries, you pave the way for such love to flourish. If you loved the story, like the video and subscribe.